In today's double feature review, we have two male protagonists being mired in sticky situations in a torrid location when they question their mortality more than fearing for it. We begin with Irish director Damien McCarthy's follow-up to Oddity from 2024. In Hokum, we have Adam Scott playing Bauman, a famous novelist who had written a string of popular books about conquistadors who suffered writer's block with regards to the ending of his latest work. When he was shook by the ghost of his mother one night, he determined that it was a sign to finish the novel at the Bibury Woods Hotel in Ireland, where his parents had their honeymoon. The audience would know that he had past infractions with his father, leading to a frosty relationship with his late mother. Perhaps if he laid their ashes to rest in Ireland, he might get the closing chapter he needed in his book and in his life. Bibury Woods felt more like a rustic inn in rural Irish countryside, with a lot of secrets hidden within. None more so with the rumours about the honeymoon suite where the owner trapped a witch within the entrails of the hotel. It was soon apparent that was obnoxious with inflated self-importance and was abrasive towards the hotel staff, none more so than the bellboy who asked him to review the transcript he had written. Surprisingly, built a liking towards a homeless man named Jerry, who was constantly high on hallucinogens and was suspected to kill his own wife, whom he encountered when he spread the ashes of his parents in the Irish woods. Early in his stay in Bibury Woods, was found hanging in his room to the horror of the hotel staff, but managed to be resuscitated in the nick of time. But when he returned to the hotel, he was informed that Fiona, the lobby staff who he was friendly towards, had disappeared mysteriously. Things got even weirder when Jerry the hobo said he saw the ghost of Fiona one night in the hotel, pointing at the bell of the forbidden honeymoon suite, which further piqued the interest of to uncover the mystery. Naturally, the other staff of the hotel, including Mel, the manager and son-in-law of the hotel owner, and Fergus, the burly groundskeeper with his crossbow, were up against from coming back to the hotel after his disgraceful act of suicide, much less poking his head when he should not be doing as an outsider. Ultimately, with the assistance of Jerry, managed to find out what really happened to Fiona, not without going through a barrage of creepy encounters with the mythical divine hag known as Kailich, which will not hesitate to catch unsuspecting hotel guests into the underworld. To start my actual take of this movie, the title Hokum implied a device used by a showman to evoke a desired audience response. Is the showman here referring to the writer? If so, what device did use in this case? The showman could refer to the creepy googly-eyed bunny creature we have seen in the marketing of the movie, which could be the host of a twisted children program which unveiled the misdemeanor of young during his hallucinogenic state in the honeymoon suite. Or was Hokum, the movie itself, a tool for director McCarthy to elicit the desired response from his audience, and especially the critics who waxed lyrical for the movie? Oddity, a story about ruthless husband's ploy to be emancipated from marriage before being served the due justice, was a movie to me a satisfying watch, with a blind twin sister of the deceased wife stealthily introducing haunted items and let karma work its magic. In some manner, McCarthy rehashed the heartless male antagonist in Hokum, which was equally incorrigible and equally deserving for what's coming for him. While Oddity generally played it straight, Hokum was a bit more whimsical with characters like the bellboy and the hobo, and of course Adam Scott was easy to assimilate into a strange, likeable, obnoxious type of character. Who derived parallels between the ending of his latest work to that of his own redemption arc for what he had done by mistake in his childhood, needed to go through the scary travails in the Bibury Woods Hotel. Of course, one could have said that whatever he experienced could be under the influence of the hallucinogenic drugs that Jerry might have given him. McCarthy also had the knack of picking memorable locations for his films based on Oddity and Hokum. While that rectangular cottage house in Oddity was still mind-blowing, the intricacy of the hotel, including the bedeviled honeymoon suite and the dark passages and elevator shaft, really elevated the spooky atmosphere. In the opening scene with stuck in his writing, we saw him in a house not dissimilar to the grandeur yet haunted living quarters in Oddity. There were noises online claiming Hokum was just another rendition of 1408 as well as The Shining, both written by Stephen King, and such claims certainly were not baseless. To be frank, the trials and tribulations had went through could barely sniff that of Mike Anslim or Jack Torrance, this part was still the meat of the plot, yet it was vying for room to capture the attention of the audiences with the folk horror of the Kailich and the mystery needed to unravel with Fiona's disappearance. I feel that after Hokum, Damien McCarthy should try to move away from his comfort zone and attempt a story away from the usual folk horror affair and especially away from Ireland. I had a major bone of contention with the casting of actor Peter Coonan as Mel, the hotel manager, and David Wilmot as Fergal, the groundskeeper. Persistently, I could not differentiate the two actors and their characters. Perhaps it was on me for not paying attention. I would not classify Hokum as a tentpole horror movie for 2026, or distribution studio Neon was banking on it for any financial success. Oddity was polarizing to many horror fans, even though myself was one of rare few that rated it highly. I was certainly rooting for Damien McCarthy to do well with the follow-up. Hokum was a solid horror feature with moments to keep the hair raising, and Adam Scott was expectedly a decent leading man, although he could be painted in a slightly more likable manner. I'm giving Hokum a 7 out of 10, as it blatantly did not grab hold of my full attention like Oddity did. Iron Lung was a 2022 submarine simulation horror game developed and published by David Szymanski. An unnamed convict was imprisoned in a rusty and rundown submarine, entrenched in a moon covered with an ocean made of blood. The convict had to adhere to the instructions and missions given by unknown authoritative figures to uncover the truth of the location and save mankind. Iron Lung was a subject for a playthrough on popular gaming YouTube channels like Markiplier, and creator Szymanski joked that these famous gaming YouTubers should all come together to make a movie about it. That tongue-in-cheek gave impetus for Markiplier, real name Mark Fishbuck, to actually develop a movie based on the horror game. Markiplier had been making a couple of interactive movies premiered exclusively on YouTube. Aside from building an empire live streaming video gaming, therefore a budding filmmaker was progressing into making feature films, and from what I had seen in the box office takings, it was a financially successful one. Fishbuck played the protagonist as the convict in the submarine, who we later known as Simon, as the plot played very well for the audiences to remember his name, and for 99% of the movie, it was a one-man display, very much like Ryan Reynolds in the movie Buried. It was overly ambitious of Fishbuck to assume viewers who were not familiar with him would find him endearing on screen for the entirety of the movie. Fishbuck, who is part Korean, certainly gave off Keanu Reeves' feel, and going in not knowing who was it in the movie, I thought it was Adam Driver in the role of Simon. He was certainly not endearing for me, but he was not an awful actor, and I could get into his pain and desperation to be released in the iron coffin for a crime he kept insisting he did not commit. There was no sliver of doubt that Simon the convict anchored the movie, even more so than the plot and the mystery surrounding the ocean of blood and what was discovered in the ocean bed. If you barely could relate to or sympathize with Simon, it was an easy build-up from the movie. Fishbuck banked on the intense interaction between Simon and Eva, the person in charge who instructed him throughout the movie. The personification of Eva came in the form of a rickety speaker on the deck head, which actually worked a splendor during the climactic end when Simon found the remains of one of the older submarines that could hold the secret of the quiet rupture event that resulted in the demise of mankind. We did have a transient shot of a few supporting cast outside a windowed hatch, which I believed could be Eva and her team. There were other voice actings to be complimenting Simon in his arduous dive or suicide mission the second time round when he stumbled upon what they known as the monster. In this part of the movie, it can be testing on the audience patience as much as Simon's sanity. The myriad of strange ongoings and hearing recordings time and again certainly mirrored Ohm's investigation of what had happened to Fiona when he kept hearing her recordings using his mobile voice recorder. At $3 million production budget, I was certainly looking at where the money had gone to. From the gameplay video Fishbuck did, he certainly tried his best to copy the aesthetic of the game designed by Szymanski, with efforts in expanding the innards of the Iron Lung. It felt a bit like a dystopian steampunk, and there were some interesting components to marvel at, but those come very sparingly. The coordinates mapping chart and the X-ray photographs of the creepy skeletal creature, which was part of the poster of the movie, were important parts of the gameplay and of course for the plot of the movie, but surely those could not be where the money has spent upon. In terms of other space exploration horror contemporaries, not taking big studio productions into contention, This movie certainly did not splash out on the visual effects like what we have seen recently in movies like Ash and Osiris. There was a glimpse of a burnt creature which Simon had hallucinated to be manning the deck of the Iron Lung. That was an effective scare because it came so unexpectedly. Other than that, we did not see much. Perhaps some level of body mutation, which was also done pretty shoddily. I suppose it would be hard to navigate into the dense ocean of human blood as we would see how Simon was molded in it eventually. Perhaps there was another decision from the director to just avoid doing any shot outside the submarine, or even the outer general shot of the titular Iron Lung itself. In conclusion, Iron Lung was an ambitious feature from a YouTuber who amassed 38 million subscribers, bringing a horror feature from a game that designed to unsettle the player in a confined space and lacking the ability to control the events happening around him or her. When it transcended to a movie presentation, it was not cinematic, yet there were few skin-crawling moments, which kudos to the filmmaker. With the success of the film banking on Mark Fishbach himself, I would not say it was a total success nor a total failure. At least I tried my best to finish the movie and attempt to understand the lore behind the cataclysmic events that happened in the world of the movie. The movie was reported to make $50 million worldwide and had a decent run even in Singapore cinema, so perhaps Mark Parler's internet popularity actually meant something. An admirable effort to provide a horror affair that could be sort of like modern David Lynch, but I struggled to finish the movie. Therefore, this is a 6 out of 10 from me. It is unlikely I will rewatch Iron Lung with my own will. The horror scene certainly needed an injection of ideas from the likes of Mark Parler and Kane Parsons, who directed Backrooms, as well as Kari Barker with his new movie Obsession, all of whom plied their trade on YouTube but eventually bring their form of storytelling and filmmaking to the big screen. To see if the likes of Backrooms and Obsession would generate more of an interest to me, do subscribe to this channel and hit the notification bell. I would appreciate if you could like this video as well. There are many talented Taiwanese YouTubers I'm following, but none have made the transition to direct full feature films. Following the likes of Jie Mengru with Mud Bond, Cai Jiaying with Haunted Mountains The Yellow Taboo, and Su Zhaoping with Silk, as featured in my latest Asian Trips feature. I think the world we saw in Hokum will make a really unsettling video game. Just don't ask me to shoot either male or a girl, because I will likely shoot the wrong person.